Hi, welcome back to Bobshi's Corner. We're in my kitchen. If you're new here, welcome. I'm bringing you along while I make my sourdough discard flour tortilla. And I'm doing these tortillas because I am getting overrun with some eggs. The chickens have ramped up their laying, and it's time to refill my freezer with the wraps. So I thought I'd bring you along. I'm going to link the recipe that I'm using. I've already made these once and they actually came out really good. I have some in the freezer, but I need more because when I do a meal prep like this, I uh I do a lot. And this way it's done and I'm good for a little bit. More than a little bit. I'll be good for a while. So, let's get to it. I'm going to start with my sourdough discard, which I have here. It's a whole jar's worth. And I need to use some of this up. So I am going to I'm doubling the recipe. And I will link this in my description box of what I am using for a recipe. And so I need 1 cup of sourdough starter, so that's 200 grams. I'm going to do everything in grams. I have flour on the top here. Let me mix that in. Mix in the flour. I put the flour on top when I put this away so it doesn't develop that gray, I guess they call it hooch, the alcohol smelling liquid. So I put flour on the top to keep that from developing. And I guess it also helps continue to feed the starter. So I'm going to need 200 grams. Just want to clean this up a little bit before I put it away. Always clean up your jar because this will turn to concrete if you don't. Cover back on and back in the refrigerator it will go. The next thing I want to do is my water. So it calls for 100 grams of water. I'm going to do 200. Okay, my battery says it's low, so now I gotta change out it can't be low. I just replaced the batteries in this, but I got my 200 grams of water in here. I need a 1/4 cup of softened butter, but before I do that I want to stir this all up. Well, maybe I do have a low battery because it just shut off on me. Let me stir all this together. I'm going to add my kosher salt to this, and I need 14 grams. So let's see if I can get 14 grams in here before my scale dies. There we go, 14 grams. So what I should have done was my flour and butter first. And as usual, Bella wants to come in. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, I think I'll get an error message if I try to do the full amount of flour that I need in here. So I'm going to do it with something smaller. Okay, so I'm going to put the flour in here and put in the big one. So I'm going to do 420 grams, and hopefully my scale doesn't act up, because I don't have any more batteries. I honestly do not like the scale. It has a limit of how much you can put on here before it starts going wonky on you. So that's why I have to do it like this, which is annoying because I could have done it all at once. So it says one recipe is 1.5 heaping cups. So this is a half a cup. I'll use this. And I'll try and keep track that way in case the scale messes me up. Okay, that's 210. So I need 210 again. $2.13. All right. So this can go away. And I need to work my butter into my flour. So I'm going to use, this butter is softened. It's unsalted. And I'm going to work it into my flour. I have a glove on because I will end up using my fingers in the end. Okay, so now that the butter is fully incorporated, as you can see, it's more of a granular texture. Now I'm going to add my sourdough discard mixture, my liquid. Stir this up. Let me get all that out of there. See all the salt that was left behind. And now just start mixing it until all the dry is incorporated. I could have done this in my food processor or in my mixer, but I figured this will be easier. Look at that. That came out nice. Very nice. So I'm gonna clean up my hands and I'm gonna turn this out onto my counter with some flour and just work it a little. It's getting sticky, so I'm just gonna work it some more. Okay, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? This dough is so soft. So I'm just going to let it rest here for about 5 minutes while I get my scale again and figure out how big I'm going to make these. I'm just going to cover it up for now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to weigh this out. Each recipe, a single recipe, you can cut the dough into 12 pieces for a taco or an enchilada size tortilla, or 6 pieces for a burrito size. I'm looking for a burrito size. So that means I'm looking to cut this into 12 pieces because I doubled the recipe. So let me weigh this out. Round it to 950 grams. Okay, so it comes out to about 79 and some, between 79 and 80, I would say each one will be. So I will be weighing each one out. So after I cut this into 12 pieces, I'll weigh each one out. Let me flatten it out a little bit. So I guess at this point, I'm just going to start weighing them. And that's 80. Just going to roll it. I am going to put a little bit of flour on my cutting board here. I'm going to roll it and just let it sit here. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one and start flattening it out. I have my pan heating up on a medium. And I'm just going to start flattening these out and try and keep them in a circle. So these are going to get big. I have to move everything over, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do this space-wise. There we go. I'm just moving all these things out into a, yeah, giving myself some room here. And just start rolling them out. Mind you, the first one on anything always comes out wonky, so I'm not going to stress over this. I'll just work with it. And it's probably fighting me because I haven't let it rest like those are resting right now. So we'll see. I'll just keep going with it. Pan is on a medium. Now I'm just gonna, oh, and I ripped this one, of course. I'm just gonna put this on here, just like that. Like I said, it's my first one, so. So these are all done. I'm turning the burner off. I did end up putting it on a medium high. I did ruin 2, but that's okay. So I'm putting them on a plate that's lined with my tea towel that I wet. It's damp. And I'm just gonna leave them here for a little bit, let them cool down. And once these are cooled down, let me see if I can show you. See how soft they are? Perfect tortillas. Well, perfect, not perfect. Some of them have tears in them, some of them, you know, but that's what you get when you make them at home and don't buy store-bought. So what I'll do is I'll leave these here, let them cool down somewhat. I'm gonna put them in a Ziploc bag and throw them in the freezer. I already have a batch in there, and this is gonna be my second batch. So I should be all set for having these when I do my breakfast burritos. So that's why I was making these. So I'm gonna put these in the freezer. They're gonna sit there until I'm ready for them. Especially since they won't last more than a week in a refrigerator, because they don't have any of those chemicals or preservatives in here. So I will store them in there in the freezer, pull them out, let them thaw out, heat them up in the microwave, and use them for breakfast burritos. And I'll probably bring you along when I make those as well. So thank you once again for joining me in Babci's Corner while I made my flour tortillas. And I hope to see you soon. Until next time.